Surviving depended sometimes about how strong you are, and I was that. I could beat anybody in the county in a wrestling match, sometimes 2 of them at a time. I could hold an axe out in front of me, and my arm never waver, and they weighed 50 pounds. I had a strong back. I wanted a strong mind, too. You know, some of my friends, actually, come to think of it, I don't think any of them could read and write. It wasn't that they were too dumb to learn, they were just too lazy. Some of my friends were so lazy, they couldn't have raised a good stink even if they'd been a skunk. So I'd dip my quill pen in ink made out of blackberry juice, and I'd write for them whatever they needed me to write. That's the way you do it. You see a need, you feel the need. Ain't nothing make me more happy than to be called an honest man. Honest Abe. I once had a woman come into my store and I overcharged her. Time I realized what I'd done, she's gone. I walked 4 miles to take back to her the money I owed her. Yep. My friends made fun of me. Said, what do you want to do that for, Abe? She don't know. Overcharged her. I said, I know she don't know, but I know. And I don't like thieves, and I don't want to be one. Said, what do you want to do that for, Abe? It ain't that much money. I said, I know it ain't that much money, but it's her money. And I don't like thieves, and I don't want to be one. I was a member of the Whig Party. Oh, the Whig Party finally kind of folded and became the Republicans, most of them, which is what I was when I got elected president. But before that, when I was running for the state senate, they gave me $200. Expense money. You know what expense money is. Helps to give you something to eat with and maybe a place to stay. I didn't need no money. My friends put me up. My friends fed me. I came on back. Well, I didn't give them all $200 back, but I gave them $199.25. I could have kept it all. Well, I didn't keep 75% because I bought a barrel of cider for gathering. Could have kept it, some of it, most of it, whatever, but it was given to me for a particular reason. So I just don't like thieves, and I don't want to be one. I remember one time a young man came to me. He'd figured out a way to steal $600 legally. Wasn't against the law. Nobody gonna put him in jail. But he needed a lawyer to help him. I took one look at his idea and I said, I got no doubt you're gonna find some lawyer gonna help you, but it ain't gonna be this lawyer. And I looked him straight in the face. I said, young man, why don't you figure out a way to earn $600 honestly? You see, I don't like thieves, and I don't want to be one. Didn't like thieves. Didn't like people who pointed at other people and said, he's a foreigner. She's a foreigner. Say, you better be careful who you calling a foreigner. You got one of them in your own family. If it ain't your daddy, it's your granddaddy or your great-grandmama or your great-great-great, however many greats, you got to go back. Somebody came over here from over there. Unless you're an Indian. Always like the story about the Irishman. Giving him a hard time for not being born in America. He said, I would have, but my mama wouldn't let me. Wouldn't it be nice? People said what they ought to say and did what they ought to do, but they don't. Not always. Which is why it's kind of good to have a sense of humor. I think I had a pretty good sense of humor. I remember one time I said to one of my friends, will you take my coat into town tonight? He said, of course I'll take your coat into town, but if I do, how you going to get it back? I said, it's simple. I'm going to be wearing it. See this here beard? That's the way you normally think about me, don't you? Never wore the thing till 1860. Little old girl wrote me and said, you look better with a beard. I grew it. I decided she most likely was right. Ever get invited out to dinner? I got invited out to dinner one time. They served pigeon soup. I like pigeon soup. It's the worst pigeon soup I think I ever ate in all my life. I don't think they boiled a pigeon. I think they boiled the shadow of a pigeon that had starved to death. I mean, that soup was so weak, I don't know how in the world it ever made it to the table. Did I tell them I didn't like their soup? No, that'd be rude. I asked for soup and I went back again. I might be dumb, but I ain't stupid. You any good at riddles? Well, I'm gonna give you one. If there are 3 ducks on a pond and one of them gets shot, how many are left? Ain't none left. Other 2 fly away. I hope you laughed a little just now. Laugh for you. Sometimes it's downright therapeutic. That means it helps you. I know many a time in my life I laughed whenever I could to keep myself from crying. Me and I ran for the state senate and I didn't get elected. I opened up a store and I went bankrupt, helped Taylor, figured he'd get to Washington and make me head of land office. He ignored me. Ran for vice president, ran for the Senate in Washington, didn't make it. But I didn't quit. Winners never win, winners never quit. One day I became president of the United States of America. I don't know how many of you, if any of you want to be president, it's a pretty hard job, but I tell you this, whatever you want to do, you better get a good education. I know people tell you that all the time, but I'm going to tell you maybe a slightly different way than you ever heard before. Back in my time when there were still slaves in the South, if you were somebody who wanted to try to educate a slave, teach a slave to read and write, you were in trouble. They caught you, they put you in jail. Because they knew a man or woman who can read and write, a man and woman got an education. They don't think the same. That's dangerous business. So, youngin', you got a lot of tomorrows lined up in front of you. And an education chance right with you right now. Don't pass it by.